All right, I'll admit it. It's a bad idea to drop your 2023 season tiers when the season already started. But what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? Yeah, I'm going to be dropping all 30 teams into 4 tiers based on where I think that they're going to end up this year. Now, I know some games already happened. You're already going to have your overreactions, your hot takes. Maybe you think the Bulls are going to be a top 4 seed in the East, or the Sixers are going to be in the play-in tournament. Maybe you think that the Pistons are going to be in the play-in tournament, and the Lakers are going to be the 3rd worst team in the Western Conference. So just maybe throw all that out there right now. This is what I would have dropped 3 days ago. I'm not going to change anything based off the first game or two for some teams. But yeah, like I said, I dropped these teams into 4 tiers. If you guys do enjoy these videos, feel free to drop a thumbs up and let me know what you agree with or disagree with your team down below. Remember, this is just my opinion. If you have a team in tier 4 that you can say, all right, maybe they should be in tier 3, I'll listen to that, definitely. But if you're saying a tier 3 team should be in tier 1 or vice versa, I don't know if I can get behind that. And without further ado, let's get into this. All right, so we start off with tier 4. This is pretty much the tier that I don't think that they're going to make the play-in tournament, and they are going to be one of the worst teams in the league. So to start off, we have the Charlotte Hornets. I know they won against the Spurs, but hey, the Spurs are also in this tier. They're not going to be great. The Hornets have a lot of problems. They had the Miles Bridges offseason fiasco, that legal trouble. They didn't really make any moves to improve this team in the offseason. It was really just adding Mark Williams via the draft, and I don't know how big his role is going to even be throughout his rookie year. LaMelo's already hurt. There's the whole James Bouknight saga. Yeah, they're going to be one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. We also have the Orlando Magic. Paolo Banchero looked great in Game 1. I'm very excited for him this season. I picked him to win Rookie of the Year. Don't think they're going to make the play-in tournament this year. Now, there can be a team here that surprises me completely and makes the play-in tournament. Last year, I thought the Pacers were going to be a playoff team, and they were one of the worst teams in the league. And I didn't have the Timberwolves making the playoffs last year, so these will be wrong. Don't worry. So, next up, we have the OKC Thunder. We know that they're tanking for Victor Wembanyama. We'll see how many games Shea plays this year. We know Chet's out the whole year. They had a pretty competitive game, though, against the Timberwolves in night 1. I checked. The Timberwolves were up by 15, and then next thing you know, the Thunder were beating them in the 4th quarter, the 3rd quarter, and then they ended up losing. But yeah, the Thunder, they're going to be one of the worst teams this year. Hopefully it's one of their last years that they end up tanking, and then maybe they end up with Wembanyama and Holmgren on the front court. How dope would that be? I do have the Rockets here. I think they will be competitive for most of the season. They have a lot of talented players. Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr. with the new extension. Jabari Smith looked great in his first game. I think they can teeter with the 10 seed and maybe flirt with it. But I don't think that they're going to make the play-in tournament when it's all said and done. The Western Conference, it's still super competitive. We have the Pacers also in this tier. This one makes sense. This team isn't great. Miles Turner's already hurt. I'm sure him and or Buddy Hield is going to be moved at the deadline. I'm excited to watch Benedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton play a ton of minutes this year and see other young guys like Isaiah Jackson, Terry Taylor. I would want to say Chris Duarte is also that young as well. But yeah, it's a fun team that has a somewhat exciting future depending where they end up in the 2023 draft. I got the Pistons here next. Now, maybe Pistons fans will get mad at me because they already won out. Ivy looked good. Duran looked good. Or is that about the Pistons? So next up, we have the Detroit Pistons. Maybe some Pistons fans are going to be kind of upset about this because they are 1-0. But hey, you're 1-0. I don't think that they're going to make the play-in tournament. Cade looked good, though, in Game 1. So did Ivy and Jalen Duran. I love the Bojan Bogdanovic addition. He'll help them win games. I think they're, like the Rockets, will also flirt with the play-in tournament. I think they could end up as the 11th seed, maybe the 12th seed, but maybe only 2 games behind the 10th seed. They'll flirt with it. I don't think that they get in, but next year, they're going to be good. They're going to be probably a playoff favorite to make it next year with those young guys developing, and if they had another draft pick or maybe make a move in the offseason. Maybe Draymond Green's on the Pistons next year. You don't know. The Utah Jazz now, they're probably the best team in this tier. Like right now, you played a game. Yeah, I'm taking basically everybody else's future with at least their young cores on their team over them, but they still have a lot of good veterans. You got Jordan Clarkson, you got Mike Conley, you got Kelly Olynyk, you got Rudy Gay, and like Colin Sexton's going to be solid this year. They have a lot of good players. They do need to move off some of these guys, or maybe have some injuries happen to some of them if they do want to be in the Wemby or the Scoot Henderson sweepstakes, because these veterans, they're going to win a lot of games for them. And lastly in this tier, we have the San Antonio Spurs, who just got blown out by the Charlotte Hornets in Game 1 of the year. It might be in a historic tank for the Spurs. They might win 15 games this year. They are an obvious tier 4 team. All right, next up into tier 3. This is a tier that I think they could make the play-in tournament or flirt with the 6 or the 5 seeds in their respective conferences. So to start off with the New York Knicks, they're more of a play-in tournament team. They're probably one of the worst teams in this tier. I do think that they're going to be a respectable team this year, and they might even go above 500. They look good against the Grizzlies in the first game of the year. They have a lot of talent. They have a deep roster to be a respectable team, not a deep roster to win a championship, but they have a lot of talent on their squad. I think they'll make the play-in tournament. Next up, we have the Toronto Raptors. They're a team that's going to be fighting in that competitive Eastern Conference. I don't think that they're a title contender by any means. I don't think that they're a lock to be a top 6 seed in the East, but they have a damn good roster. The Nets, boy, the Nets season's going to be interesting. They just got blown out by the Pelicans in game 1. They have one of the best players on the planet in Kevin Durant. They have 2 other all-star caliber players in Kyrie Irving and quote-unquote Ben Simmons. Their roster isn't terrible around those guys as well, but they're going to have to get their shit together if they want to make the playoffs. Next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks. They looked fun in their debut. I keep hating bringing up game 1 because it's a 1-game sample size. Like, I shouldn't be saying this. But yeah, the Hawks, they look fun. Like, they're going to be good. It's going to be really interesting to see the Bulls, the Hawks, the Cavs, and maybe the Raptors, where they all finished up. We have the Bulls in here. We'll see the injuries to Zach LaVine this year. We got already Lonzo Ball hurt. He's missing the first couple of months. DeMar DeRozan's going to be great at the gate. It feels like he pours his heart and soul into the start of the season, as he should, and then it fizzles out. He's not gonna be able to carry you throughout the playoffs, maybe just at this point of his career. The Lakers, I can't put them in tier 4, but I'm glad I didn't put them in tier 2. They looked abysmal to start the year. Bill Simmons said this on his podcast. They might have legitimately, outside of maybe a few teams in tier 4, the worst 3 to 11, your 3rd best player to your 11th best player in the league. It's like Russ, Toscano Anderson, Beverly, Lonnie Walker, Austin Reeves, Matt Ryan, Thomas Bryant, Schroeder when he comes back. It's not great. We have the Kings in here. I'll be up for debate who's going to be better this year, the Kings or the Lakers. I don't think that they're going to be a top 6 seed in the West, unfortunately. We have the Wizards here. I don't think they make the play-in tournament, but I think they have a better shot at making it than a team like the Pistons, the Magic, or the Hornets. And then we have the Portland Trail Blazers in here. A fun roster, no doubt about it, but the Western Conference is very competitive, and I think they could be a play-in tournament team, but nothing higher. I would say probably the best teams in Tier 3 are Toronto, Brooklyn, Atlanta, and Chicago. And if I had to say any of these teams that should be in Tier 2, it's probably Atlanta and Toronto, with some love to Chicago, and we'll see how the Nets end up this year. All right, let's jump into Tier 2. We have the Memphis Grizzlies. They were my pick to win the Western Conference, or at least have the best Western Conference standing record by year's end. So I don't think they're a title contender, but I think they're going to be a damn good regular season team. We have the Phoenix Suns in here. They're going to definitely see some regression from last year. I don't think they're a title contender, though. That would be Tier 1. Tier 2 is basically not a title contender. Could maybe make a run in the playoffs to a conference finals appearance. But I think that they're going to make the playoffs. Either way, I would bet on it happening. So we have the Denver Nuggets next. It's going to be kind of rehab years for Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. But Jokic took that team last year to the playoffs. They'll make it this year. They have a good roster. The Pelicans, they might be the most loved or most hyped up bandwagon to start the year. I remember saying, or you just heard me say, that the Knicks have a deep roster to make them respectable. The Pelicans have a deep roster to make a run at a championship. They are really good, and they were a playoff team last year. They're adding Zion Williamson to this team. Love them. Miami, can't just kind of bet against them. They're always going to be here. They have a well-ran team, good head coach. But then again, if Jimmy Butler does get hurt this year at Bam, it will be kind of tough for them because they don't have a super deep roster. Minnesota, really like the Rudy Gobert addition to help them win this year. It's funny because the Timberwolves are probably going to be the 3 seed. Maybe they'll be 18-7 or 18-6. And we're like, oh yeah, look at this Timberwolves team. People were clowning the Gobert trade. We weren't clowning it for this year. You're adding the best defensive player in the league. You're going to be good from that trade. But we're talking about 2025 and on. Then you have the Dallas Mavericks. I don't love putting them here. I honestly maybe regret putting them a tier above Toronto or Atlanta. So you can definitely debate those and swap them out. Because I think their roster got worse. I mean, they lost Brunson. They had Christian Wood. The heliocentric ball around Luka. I just don't think it's a great roster around Luka Doncic. And the Cavs here, I still like the Cavs more than pretty much every team in Tier 3 when it comes down to it. They're going to get used to playing Donovan Mitchell with that roster. You want to point out, Raptors fans, they lost to, Toronto beat them in game 1 of the year, but Garland was hurt. It's the first game. If you want to put Toronto over Cleveland, that's fine with me. I don't think either team is going to be a title contender, but I think that both are going to make the playoffs. And lastly, we have Tier 1. These are the 5 teams that I think could win the NBA Finals this year. Funny enough, Philly is 0-2, but I still think that they are in a tier above everybody else below them. I don't think you can really put anybody above them, or I mean, like, you can make an argument for teams like Miami or New Orleans or Denver or Phoenix, but I don't know. I still think that the star power on Philly with Harden and Embiid, you have Maxey probably taking another step this year. It's a solid roster. They have a good bench. We'll see how their defense holds up. They might need to make a move at the deadline. Golden State, this is obvious. They're probably the best team in the NBA, the reigning NBA champions. This was a no-brainer. The Clippers are a wild card depending on the health of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, but if you have those two fully healthy, you have John Wall, you have Zubac, you have Norman Powell, who could be a six-man of the year candidate. Maybe Kawhi's going to be a six-man of the year candidate. Yeah, they're a good roster. They have the star power. The Celtics in the NBA Finals last year, they're incredibly deep. They've probably one of the best additions from last offseason in Malcolm Brogdon. And lastly, the Milwaukee Bucks, they have, in my opinion, the best player on planet Earth, Giannis Antetokounmpo, which makes them a finals contender. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this tier list as the season starts down below. I think tier 3 and tier 2 will probably have the most controversy. I think if you want to maybe bump down Dallas, I could definitely hear an argument for that, and bump up maybe one of Toronto or Atlanta. I'm fine with that. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a like if you did. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with down below. I love you guys. Hopefully it's going to be a great NBA season, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.